Knowing this near universal pattern helps to assess new brands and existing ones.
What don't marketers know?
Quite a lot. Marketers largely live in an anything-goes world where the latest fashion or fad drives an awful lot of practice.
Segmentation is the recognition you can't serve everyone with equal satisfaction.
This is the Zach Ansbury Show.
Welcome. On today's podcast clip, we have Associate Professor Benedetta from Birkbeck, University of London, United Kingdom. So you have a really unique perspective because you did work slightly in industry for a while and then you've moved into academia. So, because some of the audience is they're kind of split. So there's sometimes they're young academics who are undergraduate students who want to go into industry and all looking to start an academic job. What would your advice be for them to break into the industry on both sides?
Both academia and practice.
Yeah.
From practice, I'm sure I think you have had speakers in this program with a much lengthier experience, and I'm sure that they will be in an even better place than me to provide advice on that. But in general, at least if I look at the UK context, which is the one that is most familiar to me, more and more internationalization is becoming important, how much you have knowledge and experience in many different markets. It's very important, but also one aspect that I've learned also myself when I went into marketing roles is it tends to be, at least in the UK, tends to be quite industry specific. So you got to choose which industry is the one that suits you and try to be as knowledgeable as possible of everything that is happening in that industry, because that is extremely valuable. I think multiple skills, so being able to master marketing, but also maybe numbers, especially with the digital analytics space in which we are living. You got to deal with numbers as much as you're dealing with creative bits. Once in the job, one advice that I always give to my students as they, build their career in private sector, and maybe they come and ask me, is try to leverage on the idea of secondment, which at least in the UK works really well. You could start with a job that is not really your thing, but then you have a foot in the door and try to, once inside the company, if it's an organization that you like, then try to ask them to be put on secondment for roles that are more exciting, more motivating. And usually that works well, because if they see that you're doing well, then you can easily move. In academia, I think definitely starting from PhD, you gotta start thinking about your publications. If I got the job at Cranfield, it was only because I had an award at a conference. I had a book chapter published and a paper published. There's no way I would have got a full-time academic position, even with teaching in my bag. Teaching is important. I think we are underestimating that. There is a tendency to think, well, somebody will gain the teaching experience later. But actually, 40% of our time is teaching. You got to master it. So both are important. But I think, especially for a research-intensive institution, there is no way around not having publications. So that is going to be first in the list.
Yeah, absolutely. I think those are very, very good pieces of advice, especially like for the academic one. Yeah, you probably won't make it past the desk rejection stage if you put in an application for like a level B lecturer position anymore. It's becoming that competitive. And as you alluded to at the beginning of our chat, like those even the promotion criteria for moving from a lecturer to senior lecturer or senior lecturer to associate professor is it just steadily inclines year after year.
And funny, say it again, Zach.
Kind of like inflation.
Yes. But it's funny to get a sense of how competitive it is. In the UK, the funders, maybe in Australia, they work the same way. Every year they open funding schemes about postdoctoral opportunities. 3 years fully paid, where if you have finished your PhD, you're trying to make a step into a full-time academic career, you're kind of in a limbo. You may get a postdoc working on a project you want to work on, get funding in the meantime, build the publications, and be ready for a full-time. If you see the applications that you get from some institutions, especially the top ones, there are some postdoc that get the postdoc that they are ready for academic position. They already have top publications. So there is no way that, if they get only a postdoc, not even a full-time academic position, there is no way that you can go into an interview. You're competing with those people, you see? So,
Yes, 100% agree. So I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. And one of the ways that I like to finish off is because, I talk to people who tend to be doing really well in their life. And so, we end their academic careers. So I like to learn and pick their brain for as much as I can. But the last thing I usually like to end on is, do you have any like life advice or like quotes or phrases or, something that you use or rely on that you think would be valuable and useful to share with everyone else?
I don't know. It's not a quote. I think it's more of a philosophy. I think it's build good relationship with people. I mean, at the end of the day, human relationships are as important. And at the same time, work really hard because something will pay off. I think one thing that I've learned from being in academia is that you are not in a job where you're going to get very quick outputs or quick outcomes. You usually have to linger things, be ready for lots of failures, and then eventually a success comes along. So, but that made me stronger, have a little bit of thick skin. Don't be upset when you get a rejection anymore, and that applies to many things in life. Sometimes you get set back and you think, well, I do this in my job, I can do this in life too. So it's all right, so be a little bit laid back and enjoy the process. So enjoy it while you're doing it.
I think that's really, really good advice. So thank you for spending your
no problem
with us. And I very much look forward to hopefully seeing you in person again soon.
Yes, exactly. If you come to the UK, please do not hesitate. And if I come to Australia, the same. But I think it would be lovely to have you present some of your work at one of our seminars. So I will definitely be in touch at some point, maybe in the new year.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'd love to visit. Yes. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you. Have a nice evening.
Hi, everyone. Zach here again. And just a few quick reminders before you go. If you're listening to the podcast and are considering incorporating it into your secondary school or university courses, then please let me know and I can guide you through the process. If you're enjoying the show and getting some insights from it, then please leave me a 5-star review on your podcast listening platform. It would go a long way to spreading the word. If you know someone who would benefit from this content, then I would be thrilled if you could consider sharing this episode and its knowledge with them. And finally, thank you for becoming part of the community for this show.